slide it over to him so he can see her.
All right.
Slide it over to the kid.
Yeah.
And this is before, like you said. So
Yeah, before saying the word, really.
Yeah. So something from her like memorial page of her.
Yeah.
Smiling,
looking happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Like, even though as you guys like entered the room and obviously your presence was in here, like he never picked up his head after you slid the phone. Though you see him raise his head lightly and look at the phone as it looks like he starts to well up. His tears start to show in his eyes.
All right. So I'm gonna try to sit
Sure,
down.
Will, you made a kid cry.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna sort of. I'm gonna pull up a chair, and I'm gonna look at you guys like nod towards the. I'm guessing there are chairs there, so you don't look like, we're standing over him or anything, and say,
yeah, I'll sit down.
Hello there. My name is Marcus. Who are you?
He just looks at you with tears in his eyes, but completely remains mute.
Can you understand me?
He just looks at you without saying a word still. But his eyes are
Well,
following
can we
your
get
lip
some medical
movements.
history on the kid? He might be an actual mute.
Like, following your lip movements, but not saying anything.
Okay.
He could be deaf.
Could be deaf. All right.
Do deaf people know Morse code? Just as a question of like general ignorance.
No.
Some of them do, and some of them don't.
It is
Yeah.
not naturally trained for a deaf person to learn Morse code. Morse code is audio.
No sign language.
Most of Morse
Just
Morse
take that
code
as
is
code?
audio, so that would make it difficult for them.
That's fair.
All right. I'm going to take the picture away and hand the phone back to William because that doesn't seem to have helped.
Yeah.
At least we know that he recognizes her. And he's like responsive. He's not like a vegetable or anything. All right. Can you nod if you understand me? No reply.
He still stays unresponsive. But
Okay.
after a awkward silence, does anybody do anything?
I was kind of like lean forward and say, "We're trying to find who hurt her."
He turns to look at you.
So I gesture at like
Jake?
myself and Jacob and say, "We're from UNSC. We want to make sure. We want to make sure that the man, the baddie, is found."
I'm gonna look around and get out some paper and a pencil or something, and sort of slide it and hand the kid the pencil and put the paper in front of him, and just see if so like if you can.
Does
If there's
this kid
anything
have
you want
enough
to-
of a formal education to know how to read and write?
No, I'm just thinking of drawing things. Like, if you. Trying to think how I would phrase this.
You just want them to try and draw a
I-
picture to describe what happened.
I kind of want to see what he draws, but if you just sort of hand someone a pencil, they don't start drawing things automatically because it doesn't work that way. So,
Jacob would take the pen and pencil, well, the pencil and paper, whatever it is, and he would draw a quick picture and show the child. And before handing the child the,
What did you draw?
basically, he drew a crude picture of a dog. Because he's not the best artist in the world.
After you did that and showed the kid, he would look at it, take the paper and pencil, and start to draw. And in a matter of 6 minutes or so, he just puts the pencil down and pushes the paper slightly, and then folds his hands between his legs as he drew a portrait of a dog's head that looks absolutely immaculate.
Oh wow! So he's like incredibly gifted artist.
Jacob would mumble, "Fucking Picasso."
Alright. Someone in Twitch channel is saying, "Feed the poor thing." But I remember there was the remains of breakfast in front of him, right? Or
It was an untouched breakfast and an empty glass.
an empty glass. Okay.
Well, he drank. He didn't
Was it
eat.
a water glass or like a?
Juice.
Okay.
Like judging
So
from like
he's-
the actual. Oh, go ahead, man.
Are you good?
I was gonna say, judging from like the actual like detail of the picture and his age, would I have like any hint that he might have like learning disorder? Maybe Asperger's or something like that.
Do you have a medical check?
I do.
Then you can roll that.
Medicus.
Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. You definitely are. I see that 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you look at him and just how he overall reacts, mental retardation comes up in your head. That could be, like there's multiple disorders that could be this, but without a proper background check on the kid, it's kind of hard to come up with any conclusive evidence other than the kid talking to you, which...
Do we have the kid's name?
No.
So it's not just trauma or from the experience. You might have something else.
It could be that
well.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole list of things that it could be, but the problem is that
We can communicate through drawing.
without properly communicating with them, you aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Jacob
I'll
would
take, like,
grab
the pad of
another
paper.
set of. Well, I was about to do that.
Yeah, I was just gonna like take the pad of paper, like remove the picture of like his dog, like slide it near him so we can still see it, and just write down on the paper like, "What is your name?" and slide it back over to him.
I was going to do something similar, except I was going to draw a crude picture of Jacob. Well, Jacob was going to draw a crude picture of himself and write his name above it.
So he slides the paper back after writing that on it. Eric.
Hello, Eric.
Eric? Oh, he writes Eric on the paper. Okay.
Yep.
So he can write.
Well, we've established he has a formal education.
So I'm going to write down my name is Marcus. Can you understand me when I talk or just when I write? And I'm gonna hold it up, in front of myself so you can see it.
He writes on the paper, "Yes, I can understand."
Jacob would
Okay.
lean down and whisper into William's ear, "Hearts and minds, William, hearts and minds."
As you
Okay,
guys
making
are
progress.
finally making progress, you hear the door slide open as you see a rather portly looking woman dressed in like over exaggerated clothing and a hat. It's like she comes in with a fuss. It's like, "Oh, outrageous! Simply outrageous, the living conditions that they had this poor boy in. Oh, go on, leave!
Who would
Jacob,
who would you
Jacob would
be?
look at the woman and go, "Pompous bitch."
Is this child under arrest?"
This child
No,
may be a
he's-
witness.
Then come on, child,
He's a
let's
critical
go.
witness.
Who would you be? Who are you? I'm talking to her now. Like, I'm sorry. I don't recognize you. Who are you?
Me? Phew. Simpleton.
Okay,
Yes,
now that we've both insulted each other, would you mind telling me who you are?
My name is Madam Glick, and I work with the Child Services Program here. And we're taking this child to be put into more suitable living conditions because this place is dreadful.
Oh,
The poor boy hasn't even eaten. Come on, child, as she moves over and grabs his arm and starts to move him out.
Jacob would grab the woman's arm. And,
Unhand
like,
me!
down tightly.
hands off. We don't need any. We don't do that in the office. Okay.
Just sit at the table calmly and say, Eric, do you want to leave, or do you want to help us find them?
Like, you see him struggling, but
I look at her and say, he wants to stay.
as
The
far
kid
as
doesn't
you would
wanna
know,
leave, Kid
I
ain't
mean-
leaving.
as far as you would
He's-
know, Joe, is that this is kind of similar to like crime dramas. Like this is the equivalent of somebody calling lawyer.
Yeah. I'm not gonna touch anyone, but I'm gonna walk and stand in the doorway and just say, you do know what conditions this kid was found under, right?
Yes, and this is why we have to make sure that we get them to the Child Protection Services so we can actually do a proper child psychosis program on it to see if the child is okay. Not these rudimentary. You treat this poor boy like a criminal. You have him in a holding area.
I look at William and Jacob and say, well, it's not really any different than our own employees. But anyway, that aside, certainly if you have experts or something to deal with him, that would be wonderful. But at the moment, we are.
Jacob would cut off Marcus and look the woman in the eyes and go, "This can end two ways, and both of them involve your arm being broken."
Okay. Whoa. This is what I'm saying in character, by the way, is what you like.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, no.
We had this at like a 3, and Jacob, you just brought this to a 10.
Yeah. I'm really sorry, ma'am, but I think we have some. He was just recently assigned. He's not really technically.
Is this how you guys run your operation here?
He doesn't work here. He doesn't actually work here. It's complicated. He's, yeah.
Did you actually let go of her yet?
No.
Let go of her.
As soon as you said that, I like put a hand on your shoulder and like firmly like gripping you, just like pulling you away. Just trying not to make a scene.
Yeah.
Even more of a scene.
Alright, she tries to wrench her arm off of you. Oh my, that's a success. So it's an opposed roll against her strength. She has 1 success right now.
Okay. Give me a second. So what am I rolling here?
Your strength. Just roll pressure strength. Oh my! So this lady, even though she's portly and whatnot, somehow just wrenches her arm free of your grip.
Maybe
breaks
because she's
yours in
super
the
skinny.
process.
Could we take this into the hall and not in front of the kid?
So, come now, child. Let's leave these ruffians and get you to a place where people can actually take care of you.
I'll hand him his picture of the dog and just write down like my contact number on the back of it.
He would take it as he's being drugged out. Now, have you know, I'll have my upper management hear about this incident.
So will we.
He doesn't work for us.
Jacob would yell down the hallway, "You're lucky I didn't have my gun."
Not a cop. Alright.
The scene starts to de-escalate as you guys are in this room by yourselves, as you can hear the sound of her high heels just clicking through the hall. With
I was
a
kind
boy
of pull
being
the kids'
slid.
breakfast towards me.